Díomh Cáride. Hello everyone. Happy 2026. Elaine on Shaw, Elaine here. Welcome to the Chroí podcast, the musings from my heart on this beautiful day, this momentous time on planet Earth. I am excited to be here with you all, sharing from my heart and seeing whatever needs to come true in these moments that we share together in this virtual world where we get to sit in our hearts together and to just be for a little while in this chaotic world. Let us sit together for the next, maybe hour, who knows? The feminine has no bounds, no rules. Yes. Before we begin, as always, inviting you to just welcome yourself home here. So maybe just taking a long, slow, deep breath and allowing your awareness to move from your heart into your heart, from your head into your heart. From your head down deeper into your body, the vessel for your soul and your heart and your ancient wisdom in your bones. Wherever you are and whatever you are doing, just allowing yourself to be here a little bit deeper. For this to be a practice of presence and heart-centeredness. Heart-centeredness. For the more of us that really, truly reside in the heart, the easier this earth or this life will become. The more magic will be planted here. And how easy it is to slip out with the heart, giving all the separation and conditioning and trauma within us and in our environments. I'm grateful to be here in the heart with you. Tá mé mo Chroí inis ar an talún néfa. Tá mé mo Chroí inis ar an talún néfa. I am in my heart now, on this sacred land. On this sacred land. Oh, I'm just going to have a cup of tea or a drink of my tea there. And I had to make sure it was recording because I'm using a new app to record and it's like, oh gosh, I wish I had better awareness of these things, let's say. Anyways, here we are in our hearts, hopefully in our bodies a little bit deeper. So much of the time we are running away from ourselves because we are afraid to be what is maybe waiting for us within. But presence and heart-centeredness can really heal a lot of what's within. And whatever pain we are feeling inside is actually there to call us inwards. The restlessness, the aches, the tension, the grief. What if that is the doorway to our peace and enlightenment? It has to be the doorway. So we invite ourselves to just be and sit with whatever is. Allowing ourselves to breathe that little bit deeper. Knowing that just by being in our hearts and being here is an answered prayer. an answered prayer, that we would open our hearts and minds enough to receive new consciousness and to be in our hearts. It's an answered prayer. Our own prayers and the prayers of our ancestors that have gone before us. So here we are, friends. The beginning of a new dawn, a new year, 2026. I think the last time I was with you, was before the solstice. So we've moved through the solstice portal, Christmas, the new year, the new Gregorian year, the calendar year. And the predictions are that, 2026 might be just a little bit lighter than 2025. So yes, a powerful portal that we've just gone through. I was up in Newgrange for the solstice, and it's always one of the best days of my life when I'm up there, because it's this like hope within the darkness, this hope that the light of consciousness, the light of the sun is returning to us, our hearts, to help us birth deeper consciousness, to create deeper new earth visions, and to penetrate the land with the life force energy that it needs again to come alive. So there's a really magical time of year that we've just been through, and it really can, give us the courage and faith and hope we need, that return of the light, to rebirth ourselves even deeper, into deeper alignment this spring. Yeah, so this is where we're at. We're on the approach to Imbolc in a few weeks. Spring. It doesn't feel like it's anywhere close to spring yet, Allowing yourself to go back into your burrow of hibernation. We're not at spring yet. And even, it can be the end of February really before we really feel that, closer to the spring equinox, before we really feel that yang energy, that really rebirth energy where we want to go back out into the world. So for me, I've learned, that I love peeping out of my hibernation for solstice and Christmas, but then I'm like, nope, back again now, no more, out, in, deeper darkness. And I suppose I just want to share some of those musings from the dark womb cave, the dark void of the feminine, perhaps will come true. I did mention, I think, in the last episodes that winter is such a powerful time of transformation, and we don't necessarily have to do a lot of complicated spiritual practices, but surrendering to stillness and the darkness is more than enough. Yet that is a courageous act in a patriarchal, busy world, right? Yeah. And I was reflecting actually with my friend that this winter I have barely been outside, actually. Yeah, maybe I mentioned that in the last episodes, but as someone who has been absolutely obsessed with nature my whole life since a young child, and even when I lived in the wild Kerry, the wildness of Kerry, the remote parts of Kerry, last winter I spent a good bit of time outdoors, and in the winter I mean, and this winter it's been so wild and wet and windy, and now it's cold, that I'm like, oh, Hibernation actually means I don't have to go outside. Actually, I don't want to. In a way, I think I was like codependent or over reliant on nature. Now, I've said this a few times. I hope it's not contradicting my absolute, belief that we find God in nature and the divine, and that is the roots of Druidry, paganism, Irish spirituality. But during the winter, and just enjoying the sunset from our kitchen window, and really listening to our body and knowing that, like, when the days are short, just doing one big thing is enough for me. Or actually, I like cleaning and cooking on winter days, and spending a little bit of extra time cooking and being in the home and slowing down and just seeing, lads, absolutely seeing, right, how much my body has been in such overdrive and patriarchal injection that, like, it's taken me many, many years to slow down to my own natural rhythm, or to come back to my natural rhythm, or to actually, did I ever have a natural rhythm, given that I was, not breastfed? There was no co-sleeping. I was in school. I was in the day job. I mean, was there ever a regulated nervous system or a natural rhythm? I would say no. No. So people say rewiring the nervous system. It's more like wiring it for the first time. And winter is a beautiful place to start that journey, because it's dark early, the weather is cold. It's a perfect time to just be, And I am still seeing within myself the body's addiction to cortisol and movement over stillness. But it's a patient journey, lads. You have to be patient and compassionate as we heal our whole systems, and as we come out of survival and flight or fight. I had a client say, and I just realised that I was numb again in my body. I was completely numb. We become numb, I think, when we disassociate from the body. And I was like, dear one, please be compassionate with yourself. Most people don't even realise that they're in a state of numbness or freeze. The fact that she has experienced not numbness is something to rejoice about. Everything comes back really to compassion, to lead with compassion. And softness. I've even noticed, like, this is random now, but maybe I don't know if I've talked about this stuff before, but the clothes I wear now are a lot softer. I used to wear a lot of, like, all organic cotton and linen, but they were quite stiff, and now I'm like, I want really soft, flowy kind of clothes, because it represents where I'm in internally, which is like just the harshness and the rigidity is really falling away, and I'm really stepping into, or melting into, more of my feminine womanhood. We've been hijacked as men and women, but women really have been torn away from what it means to be woman, connected to their womb and their bleeds and their cycles and birth and motherhood. So I've noticed a softness come in, and noticing that when we come into deeper softness and compassion with ourselves, more things fall away in our lives, relationships, and changes are in our environment, because there's still a lot of harshness out there. There's a lot of harshness. And when we dissolve that within us, relationships that were based on harshness start to fall away. So just knowing that is normal, the shedding at this time of year especially as well. And every single winter now, after the winter, the spring comes, I'm like, I'm a different person again and again. So it's normal at this time of purification on planet Earth, where we are clearing, healing ancestral trauma, that each year you're becoming more yourself. So that means there's a lot of change in your life, work, relationships, romantic, friendships, the things you like and enjoy. I was a person in the day job, I was one version of myself, and then I woke up and I was another version, and then I went deeper down the spiritual path and I was another version. Now I'm another version of that. And it's funny because I think when you have a spiritual awakening, you think then your most aligned self, and all the friends and how you dress and the places you go and the things you do will stay like that forever. But it changes again, and we shed more skins and we become a different version of ourselves. And that's, I believe, what Mother Nature teaches us through the seasons, that we're meant to evolve and change and grow. That's normal. So just noticing that this winter. And that it can be difficult though. It can be difficult. It can be, let me just bring my microphone a bit closer. It can be lonely. And I think you have to cultivate a really strong sense of confidence in yourself that I'm not doing it wrong. This is what my soul wants and needs me to do. And I'm reminded of what I shared after I came back from Greece on the Chroí yoga retreat, meeting really, really, really kin, real soul friends, and that reminder that we're meant to be the black sheep and the odd one out right now, because it's a mad world and a lot of the population are in a state of unconsciousness. It's just the reality. If they weren't, we wouldn't have the destruction of the earth. There wouldn't be people cutting hedgerows or spraying pesticides on their food and on the grass. There wouldn't be homeless people. There'd be a distribution of wealth. Capitalism and materialism is ruling the day. So, I'm an Irish woman. We just call a spade a spade. Most people are in a state of unconsciousness. And it's not always easy being the conscious one, is it? Especially if you've been around family maybe at Christmas who aren't on the same wavelength. It can be, I found it difficult at times. There was a conversation about birth and the fear around birth, and I was just like, oh God, I suppose I reflected afterwards, been like, it's my ego that feels I need to be around people who think like I think. And I don't need to argue my opinion anymore, because that's my ego. And at the same time, as we awaken and we create new ways of being in the world, it is also important to be around people who share our views, because that strengthens our own consciousness, and it strengthens our own ability to create lives that are based on love and sovereignty, not fear-based living, which a lot of people are living from. So it was a beautiful moment where I was like, actually, I don't need to fight my opinion here. I don't need everyone to think like I think. That's just another form of unconsciousness. However, it is important for me to be around people who are sharing this new way, the ancient wisdom, the old ways, the natural law. And I'm reminded by Pam, Pam Gregory, astrologist. I'm sure I've mentioned her a few times. It's like, she has a great channel on YouTube, and she's always talking about the importance of community and gathering and sharing that vision for the new earth together. That is just really, really important. But as we rebirth ourselves, the community that we need to be around can change, and just allowing that, and allowing the leaves, like the leaves fall off the tree so effortlessly, allowing things to fall away that are no longer in alignment, or allowing certain versions of relationships to die so new, healthier dynamics can be birthed in the relationship. Yeah. I'm going to just put something on the fire because it's getting chilly, and I will share more then. Okay, I'm back. And as I was tending to the fire, I realised that it is getting easier each winter, to slow down. I think I talked about this at the time when I was in Chroí, and there was a lot of things on in Chroí in winter. Chroí is buzzing with stuff. And I tried to go to a few things on winter nights, like Irish lessons and Irish Céilís and stuff, and I was like, no. And I've learned from that. To be fair, I usually learn my lesson eventually. So yeah, I really haven't gone to many things at all, and I'll only go to things if I really have to. And sometimes there is things. I had a funeral last week, and it was an honour to be there, but it's like sometimes we can also say no to a lot of things. The biggest thing, the most important word, and the biggest thing that has helped me to become woman, to really be a feminine woman, is the word no. Actually, no. Boundaries. And it's definitely triggered a lot of people in my life. Because it brings up in them as well where they maybe not have been honouring themselves. And it's hard to really hold that boundary. And it's just the truth, it's just my truth. I'm not trying to be triggering. I'm not trying to be awkward. I'm not trying to be unpredictable or not dependable. I just am doing my best to live in my own truth. And I think we don't do anyone any favours when we say yes when we mean no. Because we're not giving them our full presence. And we're not... What's the word? I just lost my train of thought there. We're not giving them our full presence. Oh yeah, and resentment can build then when you start to say yes when you mean no. And I remember, my friend Cleena saying years ago, probably, I don't know when she said this, 2021 maybe, the life jackets have been handed out. It's time for people to save themselves and hold themselves. And she was a bit older than me at the time and had kids. And it's now that I really, really, really feel what she meant there. Is that like when you're a woman, especially if you have children, or you're reparenting yourself and you're on a deep healing path, your energy to save or fix anybody is non-existent. Like there's just not energy there for it. And that's, I just talked about the importance of community, yes. But we can't be unhealthily over relying on each other either. There has to be a level, I know I've spoken about this before, there has to be a healthy level of sourcing from within. And, learning how to really hold ourselves. So now I really get what she means. I'm obviously a bit older now, and I'm really honouring my body, my nervous system, reparenting myself, preparing for a lot of things, which I won't get into, a lot of things. That I have to be mindful of where I put my energy. And I remember Bazu, the teacher on the yoga retreat, he was like, "You have a lot of energy, be careful where you put it." And I needed to put it into myself, and I don't need to feel bad about that. It's just the truth, it's just the fucking truth. My whole 20s I worked in social work, and that was exhausting and draining and fixing and saving. And women need to become more selfish and get rid of this nice girls, good girl persona, and learn the word no and learn boundaries, because I see it in others, because I knew it within myself, that is what will keep us separated from the Divine Mother, our own wombs, and a healthy, relaxed nervous system, is a lack of boundaries. And I think that is why a lot of people enjoyed lockdown, because they were able to say no finally. They didn't have to say no, they had an excuse, And our wombs and our cyclical ways as women is enough of an excuse to say no whenever we need to. I love how I honestly didn't know where, well, I thought I knew where this podcast episode would go, but it hasn't gone that way. I love it. And I suppose the reason why I come back to that boundaries and no and slowness is because I do feel that is what probably the number one thing that is keeping us disconnected, that's keeping us in a state of separation. Yeah, and I know I've mentioned that before, but we all need the reminder of bringing ourselves out of overdrive and into rest and digest. And that's why I'm grateful to be here sitting down, resting, and just allowing myself to be here. It's a gift. Let me just get an extra cushion from my back just to soften here. Another thing I wanted to that came through there as I was tending to the fire is I've realised, lads and ladies, that, again, I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but peace and this love of life, loving your life, is not something that comes when everything is perfect in the external. I think of Yeshua on the cross, and then the struggles that Mary Magdalene would have faced as his wife after he died, right? Or all the struggles that the ancient ones, the medicine keepers of this land, had, yet they were wise and in a place of love and trust and harmony. Yeah, I've had this come true, this feeling, this embodied feeling when I've been meditating, that none of my stresses or worries or relationship dynamics or blah, 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 all my human, as Muji says, the personhood stuff matters in a way. It's the conscious awareness behind it all, which is, I trust God. I trust that this shit show is here for my soul's growth. I trust this initiation. I trust this test. I trust this grief, this pain in my body. I trust that it is here to show me something. I definitely have talked about this before. I notice I've this really weird thing at the moment where cold air seems to be triggering an allergic reaction at night time during the early hours. I've always kind of had this, but it's gotten a lot worse, or it's intensified a lot. I feel like it's my body wanting to be in Australia or something. It's nearly like I'm allergic to the cold. Anyways, I'll figure it out. But I noticed that I was complaining about it and I was really attached to it and I was fused with it. And there's this like lovely separation happening where it's like, it is what it is. I'm not going to die. It's uncomfortable. My sleep is disturbed. But sure, my sleep has been disturbed since I had a spiritual awakening anyways. Just accepting. Sorry if I was really close to the mic there. I just kind of go into a trance sometimes when I'm talking. Yeah, it's this like acceptance of what is instead of fighting it. Because I seen a quote by Eckhart Tolle today. It's not what happens that's creating the suffering. It's your thoughts about what's happening. So it's not actually the event. And I'm just thinking of big, massive, traumatic things that can happen to us, which is, it's hard to say, it's our thoughts about it. But anyways, I'm noticing in the less, extreme traumatic things in my life are the things that I'm worried about or stressed about or my health. I am creating my own suffering around it, where I'm like, it shouldn't be this way. I should have a better sleep. I should. He shouldn't be like that. I should be somewhere else. It's all created, there's no good or bad, but thinking makes it. So I really believe that. So I notice when I send voice notes to my friends now, there's less chatting about the minuscule human dramas, but more like the deeper connection to spirit that I'm moving through right now, if that makes sense. Because that's all fluffy stuff in a way. And I know we can stress about finances and the difficulties in a relationship, but and the grand scheme of our soul's journey on earth, they're small things that don't really matter. And when we're in the midst of an argument with our partner, our husbands, or wives, I know it can feel like awful, but we got to zoom out, higher perspective. Because our soul is just here to grow and to be present on this earth as it awakens into deeper consciousness. We are something on the chessboard, and God is moving the pieces around the chessboard. I was thinking as I lay awake last night, I feel like my life is now like a movie or a dream. And I'm becoming better at like observing the dream or the movie play out. What's going to happen next? I haven't a fucking clue. Honestly, my human self, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Not in a million years, if someone had said to me last year, you'll be in Wexford this time next year, you'll be back in Wexford, I'd be like, no, I won't. Nope, absolutely not. Here I am, living my best life. I don't have a clue, like. Do we need to know? No, I don't think so. The mystery, lads, the unknown, the uncertainty, that is my intention for 2026. 2026, Elaine. To surrender. I feel if God had a language, it would be surrender. Because when we move into a place of surrender, we are loving God so much that we trust its will, his will. And we are love and trust and surrender bring us inner peace. I surrender to what's going to happen next. I surrender to the greater will. I surrender to God's will. I trust the process, even if it rips me apart and makes me die a million times. I hand myself over to the transfiguration that is needed for me to be a pure divine human being, which is my divine natural state. but that is a metamorphosis, like the caterpillar dying to turn into the butterfly. It is not easy. It's destruction. It's crumbling. It's a tearing down. But do you trust it? Can you trust it? That is my intention for. There's no big vision board of things on it. It's just like, can I be in a deeper state of trust and surrender? And it reminds me of 2020, January 2020. I was living in the coast in Donegal, and I got into the sea and I said, for this year, may I trust the uncertainty? And here I am 6 years later, setting the same intention. Can I move deeper, deeper, deeper into the mystery of this life? Sinead, that's that and that one, I think. So Sinead, Manam Karja. That's it for now, my soul friends. I am honouring my body's need for a return into my cave this evening. I'm going to cook some nourishing food and just be. So, yeah, I'll be back again soon with more musings. But I just want to show up and record maybe shorter episodes with some current musings, Again, thank you so much to the people who have subscribed to the Chroí subscription. That really means a lot to me and allows me to continue on producing this. So thank you. And if you would like to, if you get something from my episodes and you enjoy the podcast, I would really love for you to support the podcast through the subscription. That would really mean a lot to me. I will leave the details in the link below. And Sinead, I'm sending you along, Grog, Hispanic, a lot of love and blessings for the rest of this winter. Just allowing yourself to slow down. We'll have plenty of time of sun and warmth and long days in Ireland. We'll have 6 months of long days. Just allowing yourself to say no and to melt into the void of this winter. And to know that there's nothing you need to do just because it's the new year. The less you do, the better. The less you do, the better. I love you. I love you. And I'm proud of you. I think you're doing amazing. Honestly. Grá mór a cóide agus slán go fóill. Bye for now.